Alright guys, we're gonna try something a little bit new. Today we're doing a Q&A video. You may notice that the camera quality is down to 0 and I am wearing headphones and speaking into a microphone. That's because I have to record this on my computer. And the reason for that is because I need my phone, which is my usual camera, in order to read out the questions. So hopefully that's not too big a deal. I put on my Instagram story yesterday a platform for you guys to ask me questions that you were wondering about in regards to fashion, or even some of them were actually not even related to historical fashion and the channel. So with that, welcome back to Old Guy Vibes. Today, get to know your host. First question. Oh, getting spicy and tough off the bat, I see. What's your favorite piece in your closet? Yeah, that's a hard one. I think my favorite piece sort of changes when I get something new. Like, whatever is the most recent purchase is probably my favorite. So right now, I would say my black frock coat. Most of the time, I think it would be my top hat. I don't know. Yeah, probably this right now. Next question. Do you have any other favorite historical eras? I actually do dabble in some other periods in history, mainly the medieval period, and then like the first half of the 20th century. I actually know quite a bit about medieval fashion on top of Victorian fashion. And then I know a whole lot about the two world wars. I don't know which one I like better. I like the Georgian period, fashion-wise and architecturally, but I don't really know anything about it. So yes, I would say my second favorite period is either the World Wars or the medieval period. Next, do you plan on pursuing a career in historical costuming? No, I do not. I don't know how to make clothing. I don't make any of my own clothing. And in fact, a couple of you guys were asking if I did. No, I don't make any of my own clothing. And I don't know how, nor do I have the time to learn how and actually apply the practice. On to the next one. What period in clothing is your favorite? Well, I'll give you two guesses. Okay, that was a joke. Specifically, the 1840s might be my favorite period in men's clothing. Not really sure why. I think I just like the silhouette a lot, because like in the 40s, men had that sort of pigeon-breasted, tight-fitting silhouette, which I really like. Okay, next question. What is one thing that you would bring back from Victorian fashion that we don't have today? I may actually have to think about this. Well, conceptually, we still have all of the same sort of garments. We still have shirts. We still have long coats. We still have trousers. We still have shoes. And we actually still have top hats. I would say I would just not so much bring back a specific garment because we still have them, but I would definitely I would try and repopularize the top hat because it's a surprisingly good-looking hat in non-Victorian contexts. Next question. What is your day job? I actually work as a sales representative at LL Bean. If you guys don't know what LL Bean is, if you're like from Europe or something, or you just don't know, LL Bean is an outdoor sporting goods and clothing company that was started by a gentleman named Leon Wood Bean in 1812. So we're kind of like Dick's Sporting Goods or like REI or EMS, only we specialize in clothing. Most of our clothing and equipment is more geared toward outdoor sports than like hiking and hunting and kayaking and fishing and all that kind of stuff. And they're famous for their bean boots, which is a style of, if you don't know, it's a style of duck boot. And I believe it is the original duck boot, like the first duck boot ever invented. So that's what they're famous for. All right, next question. All right, so we've got another not history or clothing related question. And that is, what's your favorite type of music? So that's a whole can of worms. For those of you who don't know, music is actually my first and biggest passion, and this whole clothing thing is actually a close number 2. But my favorite type of music is probably heavy metal. I'm a guitarist, if you guys didn't know. I think I posted a clip of me playing guitar on my Instagram story once. I'm actually an avid metal guitarist, and I've played in, not as a metal musician, but I played as a guitarist in a couple bands when I lived in New York. Metal and like hard rock are definitely my number one favorite type of music, followed closely by jazz and swing. I'm actually better at guitar than probably any other skill that I have, and I'm more passionate about it than any other passion that I have. Next question. Is there a way to make a modern outfit look vintage? Now that is also a pretty good question. And the answer to that is, well, the short answer is yes. But it depends on what you mean by vintage. If by vintage you mean before the 1930s, then no, you cannot make a modern outfit look vintage. But if by vintage you mean the 1930s and after, like say the 30s through the 60s, then yes, it's actually not too hard to make a modern outfit vintage. And actually that's something that I have done before. In fact, maybe I'll throw up a picture of something that I've done to make my modern clothing look classic. All right, next question. Probably half of all the questions that I got were asking how I got into historical costuming and historical fashion. And boy, is that a long story. I actually might just make a separate video about that. But the short answer, I would say, is it started with two movies from my childhood, those being Gene Wilder's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and the second one being Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, starring Dick Van Dyke. And those two movies are really what got me into top hats and history and historical stuff in general. And it really just escalated steadily and slowly from there. And actually, my journey into wearing the clothes started, it was probably summer after 7th grade. My family and I took a vacation to Texas before we moved there. And we went into a store, and I saw a top hat, I put it on, and it actually looked really good on me. And so I asked my mom if I could get it, and so she got it for me for, I think it was either my birthday or for Christmas. And so since then, I have been wearing top hats, and that's really what kicked off my journey into historical clothing. All right, next question. How is a Victorian suit different from a modern suit? There's a lot of differences. That could also warrant a whole video of its own, but the short answer is the style and shape of the garments. All right, next question. Are you only interested in Victorian fashion, or do you also dabble in the 18th century as well? I don't know anything specifically about 18th century fashion. Breeches, stockings, frock. Like, that's about it. I don't know the details, I don't know the history. But I do like some of the looks of the 18th century, especially late 18th century naval fashion, which I guess really isn't fashion because it's a uniform. But late 18th century naval fashion I always really liked. All right, next. How do people react to your looks offline? And do you dress historically all the time? So I dress historically whenever I have a day off, because I used to dress casually every day, and only dressing historical like one day a week. But I only have 2 days a week when I'm not wearing a uniform now, because I work 5 days a week and I wear a uniform for work. So because I only get 2 days off, I usually dress historical on those days. For all intents and purposes, yes, I do dress historical every day. But how do people react to it? Well, they usually, everybody looks at me, or like everybody stares, sort of. But I usually only get positive interactions, like nobody ever has a problem with it. And the people that do usually just don't say anything. But yes, I do get a lot of looks. None of them are glares, it's more like just people looking, because it's strange to see, which is understandable. Alright, what would your dream house look like? I don't know. I'd have to really think about that one. And there's a lot of architectural styles that I like, and there's a lot of interior design styles that I like. So really, it's hard to say what my dream house would look like, but maybe I'll go into that in another video. We'll see. Alright, next one. What are you studying, and what is your goal job? So, I'm actually taking this year off. I think, I just said that I work 5 days a week. So I'm taking this year off to work and to get through COVID without an issue, because that Rona makes college kind of hard. But what I'm going to study is psychology, because my goal job, I guess, is to become a clinical psychologist. And so I'll have to actually get my master's in psychology. So I'll have to go to 6 years of college. Then I can start my clinical practice. So that's my ideal outcome from going to college. All right, next, do you enjoy women's fashion history as well? I do find interest in women's Victorian fashion. I don't know I know some. I know more than the average person. But I don't know a whole lot about women's fashion, so that's why I talk about men's fashion, because I know more about it. And there's already a bunch of great women doing a lot of great work about women's fashion that I don't really need to do anything about it, because there's already so many people talking about it so well. I know a little bit, and I do like some periods, and I know what I like and what I don't like, but I don't know enough to talk about it. All right, next one. Are any of your friends interested in historical clothing? No. Ooh, juicy. Here's a juicy one. What is a pet peeve you have with a misconception about historical dress? Name a misconception about historical dress, and I have a pet peeve with it. There's more misconceptions and myths than I can count. I don't even think I can pick a least favorite. Is it a favorite or a least favorite in this case? I really hate when media and actresses complain about corsets, because we all know, like, anybody that's even dabbled a little bit in the historical costuming community on YouTube knows that you didn't have to tight lace, and most women didn't, and most women were fine. So I really hate that one, but I think everybody does, so that's not very creative. And there's a ton of myths. I can't really pick one. All right, next, before I go on a tangent, what is your favorite era for women's fashion? Mine is the 1890s. So I happen to agree the 1890s is definitely one of my favorite eras for women's fashion, tied for first place with the early 1900s. So the first half of the Edwardian period. I don't know why that's my favorite. I think it's because it just has the nicest silhouette. It's not too exaggerated in any way. So between the 1890s and like 1908. Ooh, here's a juicy one. Why do people think that just women wore corsets in the history of fashion? Probably because men don't talk about it. B, it's not a staple of men's fashion. It's just something that men could wear and sometimes did. And C, because media has demonized it to hell. Pun intended. Yes, men did wear corsets too. I think I mentioned that once or twice. I think I mentioned it like once in one of my last videos, but men did wear corsets sometimes, especially if you were upper class, because if you didn't have to wear a corset as a man, you didn't need it in your garments. There's no breast support involved, but sometimes men would wear corsets to cinch in their waists and make their chest look fuller, because in the first half of the Victorian era, the pigeon breast look was what men were going for, and most men achieved it with padding and garments fitted tightly in the waist but were fuller in the chest. But some men, especially high fashion, richer men, would sometimes wear, for all intents and purposes, a corset without the bust support. Oh, here's a fun one. How tall are you? Short answer, 6 feet. Long answer, 5'11.5" approximately 182 centimeters for all you European and Asian folks. What does your life look like? That is a complicated question with a lot of answers and a lot of long answers. In general, my life looks like I go to work, I come back. Yeah, that's my daily life for about 5 days a week. But the things that I do when I'm not at work and the things that I do while I am at work, there's a lot going on there. But I spend a lot of my time making music on my computer. You guys have heard some of the music I make. You probably hear it now in the background. Other than that, I make videos for fun, obviously. Sometimes I go out into town just to flaunt my style, you could say, and to gawk at all the old New England houses. I watch a lot of YouTube videos. I play Minecraft sometimes. That's something I like to do for a pastime. Maybe I'll show off some of my builds, because I'm actually not too bad of a builder, if I do say so myself. Maybe I'll do a draw my life somewhere down the road and you guys will get to see what my life looks like. Let's see, what is your guilty pleasure movie? I don't know, I'm not really ever guilty about any of the movies I watch. I just don't watch the ones that I feel guilty about, so I don't know, that's a good one. Buddy of mine from Texas asked me, how do you feel about the steampunk style? Well, actually, steampunk was one of my first transitions into historical costuming, because before I was into historical accuracy, I was into steampunk. I'm not so much into steampunk anymore. I mean, there are parts of it that interest me, but I've gotten so obsessed with historical accuracy that I just don't enjoy it like I used to. Someone asked if I've ever worn a corset with historical costuming, and yeah, no. I don't think I ever plan to. I'm kind of too thin for that, because you guys may or may not know, but I'm kind of a pencil, so I don't know how corseting would actually work properly on me. Would you consider posting more music-themed content on your channel? Actually, that's not a bad idea. If I had more time, say I could post twice a week, I could maybe do more music-related stuff, but there's so much that I have to do not music-related every week. I don't know if I have the time to also do music-related stuff alongside the other things I have to go over. Where do you shop? The internet. HistoricalEmporium.com, not sponsored. Etsy, Poshmark, and hopefully when they're done transitioning their factories and they fully open up their new men's line, hopefully I'll start shopping at American Duchess, because American Duchess has started a men's line and it's not very in-depth yet. It's just a couple of Regency styles of shoes, but hopefully I think the plan is to have a full range of historical men's shoes, and I do intend to start shopping from them in the future. Where are you from? I'm from the US. I was born and raised in New York State, actually born in New York City and raised in New York State. Lived in Texas for the last 2 years, and now I live in Maine. The rest is a secret. How old are you? 19. If you ever wonder, it says in my Instagram bio. Another one of my Texas friends asked, do you like to read? No, I do not. There's nothing I enjoy less than reading. And I don't mean like the act of reading, but I mean like reading a book or anything longer than a couple of sentences or a paragraph. But that's a story for another time. That was the bulk of the questions that you guys asked me. A lot of you asked about making my own clothes or how I got into historical fashion. So it seems like you guys want me to make a video about how I got into historical fashion. So maybe somewhere down the road, I'll make a draw my life, but like a draw my journey kind of thing with my historical fashion career. So maybe I'll do that. We'll see. But otherwise, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I've never done a Q&A before, so I hope it turns out well in post. If you did enjoy it, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share this video so that I can reach a broader audience, you know, all that jazz.